Maplebrook awoke wrapped in that sweet kind of cold that feels freshly baked, the smell of cut pine, gingerbread, and snow eager to make its debut. Harper Wallace took a deep breath on her porch, holding a steaming cup of hot cocoa between her hands, the knitted wool hat she had made herself pulled snugly down to her eyebrows. The cocoa was perfect. The weather, too. The only thing that wasn't perfect was the task waiting for her. She propped the ladder against the porch frame and stared at it like one might stare at a longtime nemesis. "Don't look at me like that," she muttered. "Someone has to hang the lights." From inside the house, a bluish-gray silhouette appeared at the window. Heathcliff, her Russian blue cat with aristocratic posture, watched her with precise disapproval. Only half his body was visible behind the curtain, as if he refused to grant the outside world more attention than strictly necessary. "Yes, I know," Harper sighed. "It's freezing. I could slip, but you don't have thumbs, so here we are." Heathcliff blinked slowly. Translation: Human, you are making questionable decisions at an unholy hour. Harper climbed 2 steps, inhaled, climbed 2 more. On the 6th rung, just as she reached out to hook the first garland, she felt the subtle shift of the ladder sliding over a treacherous film of ice. "Oh no," she whispered. The metal dipped a centimeter. Her heart switched into full internal siren mode. She gulped, closed her eyes for a moment, and then a steady hand took hold of the side of the ladder. "I've got you." The voice was male, deep, calmly assured. Harper opened her eyes and looked down. There stood Finn Gallagher, 27, Aries written across his forehead, strong posture, warm energy, a mix of impulsiveness and tenderness that seemed illegal in several states. Newly arrived in town, firefighter, dark thermal jacket, black gloves, and an expression somewhere between worried and amused. "I think you need reinforcements," he said, stabilizing the ladder with insulting ease. "Fantastic, Harper. Just what you wanted on day 1 of Advent. An Aries with a jawline straight out of an ad holding you up while you make a fool of yourself. Universe, we need to talk about your jokes." "I had it fully under control," she lied. Finn arched a brow. "Sure, and I'm Santa Claus." Harper decided dignity could be salvaged if she climbed down slowly, very slowly. When she finally reached the ground, she cleared her throat. "Thanks, really." Finn gave her a slow, warm smile. "That's what neighbors are for." From the window, Heathcliff reappeared, this time placing a paw on the glass like a lawyer presenting crucial evidence. Finn noticed the movement and looked toward the window without getting closer. "Is that your cat?" Harper nodded. "Heathcliff, he supervises." Finn raised a respectful hand in greeting without attempting to touch the glass. Heathcliff observed him with a slow blink, the feline equivalent of, "I am evaluating you." Then he disappeared with dignity. Finn chuckled softly. "I don't think he condemned me, yet." Harper shrugged. Day 1 of the Advent calendar, and I already almost broke something. Off to a great start. Finn tilted his head. "Advent calendar." "A self-care one," she replied, pulling her scarf up to her chin. "Little reminders that I exist." He looked at her with unexpected seriousness. "That's important." That tug in her stomach came back. "No, Harper, no. Younger Aries. Do not start." "Perfect, Harper. Absolutely perfect. The sensitive firefighter, wonderful." He pointed to the lights. "How about I help? 4 hands, fewer risks." Harper hesitated for a second, then nodded. "Fine. But if I fall, I'm blaming you." Finn let out a warm laugh that melted half the porch. And that was how December began. A shaky ladder, an impossible-to-ignore Aries, a Russian blue cat judging from the window, and a Taurus woman trying very hard not to read too much into Christmas signs. Especially the ones that smiled back. Snow had been falling all morning, first in silence, then with that soft hush that keeps you company without asking permission. Maplebrook looked like a freshly printed postcard. White rooftops, chimney smoke drifting lazily upward, green wreaths hung on every door. Harper watched the scenery from her window while warming her hands around a strong cup of coffee. Heathcliff, settled on his favorite cushion beside the radiator, stared at her as if he knew exactly what she was thinking. "Don't even say it," Harper grumbled, pointing at him with her mug. "I'm not avoiding the neighbor. I'm just busy." Heathcliff narrowed his eyes, unconvinced. Harper sighed and stepped onto the porch, where the cold air bit at her cheeks. She wore a thick coat, a knitted scarf, and that Taurus determination to stick to her plan for the day no matter what. The plan, in this case, involved checking the box of decorations stored beneath the porch bench. But Finn Gallagher apparently had other plans. He stood in front of his house with a bag of tangled lights in his arms, and a look of charming defeat that triggered a small internal collapse of tenderness in Harper. "Don't look," Finn said, raising his hands as if she'd caught him in a crime. "I'm losing a crucial battle." Harper leaned against her railing, trying to appear indifferent. "With the lights or with yourself?" "Both," he admitted, shaking a cable that wasn't even pretending to cooperate. "They're attacking." Harper stepped down from her porch and approached him. "Let me see." Finn handed her the glowing mess with the reverence of someone passing a baby to a competent adult. "Careful," he teased. "I think they're alive." Harper inspected the cable with quick, skilled fingers. "They're not broken, just resentful. You need to treat them nicely." "Like most people, then." Harper glanced up. That simple little line, so Aries, shooting straight to the center, brushed something in her chest. "Control yourself, Harper. No emotional zooming at 8 in the morning." With a few deft movements, she freed the garland. Finn let out a low whistle, impressed. "Magic? Practice," she replied. While he plugged the lights in, Harper noticed how Finn's gaze lingered on her hands, not in a rude way, but with genuine attention, as if watching her solve problems was as captivating as the lights themselves. The bulbs flickered, and then glowed in a soft amber cascade. Finn threw his arms up triumphantly. "Yes! Victory for the team!" "We're not a team," Harper objected. Finn grinned. "Sure we are. How many teams have a Taurus restorer, an Aries firefighter, and a cat who judges from above?" As if summoned, Heathcliff appeared in Harper's window, staring with absolute disapproval at their proximity. Finn raised a hand in greeting. "I think your cat is suspicious of me." Harper scoffed. "He's suspicious of everything. It's his job." A strange moment followed, comfortable, the kind of pause you don't fill with words because they're unnecessary. Finn broke it first. "What does your calendar say today?" Harper rolled her eyes. "Day 2. Do something nice for yourself." Finn nodded slowly, a warm smile forming. "Well, I say you deserve a proper hot coffee from Maplebrook bean, my treat." Harper felt her heart thump. "That's not necessary." "I know. That's why I want to do it." She opened her mouth to protest, but Finn was already walking toward the sidewalk, brushing snow off his gloves. "Come on, I don't take no for an answer." "You're very bossy, Gallagher. I'm an Aries," he said, as if that explained everything. "Yes, Harper, run, flee, or stay and have the damn coffee with the irresistible firefighter. What could possibly go wrong?" Harper tightened her scarf, closed her door, and walked beside Finn toward the cafe. Snow crunched beneath their boots. The whole town seemed to be holding its breath. And although she refused to admit it, Harper felt that same little thrill one gets when opening the next door of an advent calendar. In this case, door number 2 came with a smile included. The storm arrived without asking permission, one of those sneaky ones the meteorologists never predict because it feels like it was summoned by someone in a bad mood. The sky turned a dense metallic gray, and the snow began falling with the persistence of an argument you didn't want to have. Harper was in her workshop at the back of the house, restoring an old cabinet that smelled of wax, aged wood, and patience. It was her favorite scent in the world, right after freshly baked cinnamon bread. Heathcliff slept on his round cushion beside the radiator, a perfectly compact bluish-gray puff. The wind slammed against the window. Then came a sharp sound. The transformer at the end of the street. The lights went out. Perfect, Harper muttered. Victorian-era Christmas by candlelight. What a thrill. Heathcliff lifted his head, eyes narrowed, the expression of "I did not sign up for this meteorological nonsense." He stretched with the elegance of a Russian ballet dancer, the only truly Russian thing about him, and settled closer to Harper, as if a blackout required a qualified inspector. A knock on the back door startled her. "Harper?" Finn's voice came muffled through the wind. "You okay?" She opened the door, and a blast of cold air slipped inside like a polite dagger. Finn stood there covered in snow, dark hair plastered to his forehead, jacket dusted with white. "The whole street's out," he said, "and I saw your workshop lights on before. I just wanted to check on you." Wonderful, heroic firefighter in active worry mode. Heart, please behave and do not roll downhill. "I'm fine," she said, though her voice lacked conviction. "I have candles." Finn stepped inside without imposing, shut the door, and shook the snow off on the mat. His boots made that soft thud of "I survived a storm, but desperately need a warm hug." "Mind if I help you light a few?" he asked. "Do what you want," Harper replied, pointing to the shelf. "They're there." They lit the candles together, small islands of warm light, gradually reclaiming the workshop. The storm raged outside, but inside there was a quiet kindness, the kind that only exists when two people are beginning to trust each other. Heathcliff observed from his cushion, tail tucked neatly around his body, eyes alert. He didn't approach Finn, but he didn't leave either. He was categorizing him. Finn leaned against the work table. "Harper, can I ask you something kind of personal?" "No, you absolutely cannot. Your personal questions are dangerous, Gallagher." "Depends," she replied. He took a breath. "When I held the ladder that day, you looked scared. Not just because of the ice, more like it scared you to let someone help you." Harper felt the impact of his words straight in her chest. She forced herself to stay composed. "I guess I'm not great at trusting," she admitted, running a hand along the cabinet's surface. "My ex," she swallowed, "taught me that even when things seem fine, someone can decide you're no longer enough." Finn's brow furrowed with a discomfort that was pure empathy. "That's not right," he said quietly. "It wasn't," she replied. "But I got used to fixing everything myself, depending on myself. No one drops you if you're not holding on to anyone." Finn tilted his head. "But no one catches you either if you don't give them a chance." The phrase hung between them like a tightrope. Harper felt Heathcliff shift behind her. A tiny silent guardian. She took a deep breath. "And you?" she asked softly. "What are you trying to fix on your own?" Finn hesitated. Then, "A fire," he said. "One I couldn't stop. I lost a partner, and since then, I do things, favors, little acts of help, like..." His gaze dropped. "Like maybe they make up for what I couldn't change back then." The storm outside roared louder. Harper stepped closer without thinking. "You can't save the past," she whispered. Finn met her eyes, his own shining with a mix of vulnerability and fire. "I know, but sometimes I need to feel like I can save something. Someone." A thick silence settled. Not uncomfortable, just honest. Harper lifted a hand and brushed her fingertips against the sleeve of his jacket. Barely a touch. Finn went still, breathing deeply, as if that tiny gesture meant far more than words. Heathcliff watched them with narrowed eyes, feline translation. "Very well." But no sudden movements. The nearest candle flickered. The storm kept beating at the world outside, but in the workshop something stronger was building. Slow, warm, and dangerously inevitable. The Maplebrook Christmas market looked like it had been plucked straight out of an old postcard. Warm lights strung between the trees, garlands of cranberries decorating every stall, the smell of hot chocolate mixing with roasted chestnuts. The snowfall had paused just in time for families to wander through, wrapped in thick scarves, laughter freezing mid-air. Harper arrived alone, not because she wanted to, but because she had convinced herself she should. Independence, Harper. It's your superpower. Don't get soft now. But the moment she took 2 steps between the stalls, a familiar voice reached her. Hey, Harper. Her stomach flipped. Finn stood there with a smile capable of melting any rational thought. His cheeks were rosy from the cold, his hair slightly messy beneath his hat, the thermal jacket fitting his shoulders in a way that should have been illegal. Hi, she said, trying for indifference. Finn lifted 2 cups of hot chocolate. I brought you one. From Mrs. Langley's stall. It's the one with spices, and that hint of vanilla you like. Harper raised a brow. And how do you know I like it with vanilla? Because I heard you ask for it the other day, he replied, utterly unbothered by the admission. Perfect. He's observant. Universe, give me strength. Or don't. Weak works too. She took a sip. It was perfect. Warm, creamy, sweet, without overdoing it. It's not bad, she lied. Finn smiled like he knew exactly how much she was lying. Come on, he said. I want to show you something. He guided her through the stalls until they reached one where an elderly woman sold hand-carved wooden ornaments. There were reindeer, miniature houses, stars, and one that stopped Harper in her tracks. A bluish-gray carved cat with an expression of absolute superiority. That's Heathcliff, she whispered. I know, Finn said, proud of himself. Look at him. He's got the exact same pay-your-taxes human face. Harper let out a soft, unexpected laugh. The elderly woman behind the stall smiled. Want to take it home? Finn asked. No, Harper replied instantly. He raised a brow. She exhaled. Okay. Yes. Finn paid before she could even reach for her wallet. You owe me 3 coffees now, Harper grumbled. I'll accept one, he said. They continued walking. The trees were wrapped in lights that reflected off the snow like tiny embers. The air was cold but kind, fresh and alive, as if winter had decided to be gentle for once. Harper realized she was walking a little too close to Finn, or maybe he was walking too close to her, or maybe the universe was pushing them together. They passed under a section where the lights hung lower, creating a tunnel of amber glow. Shadows danced across their faces. Finn stopped. You're shivering, he said. I'm fine, Harper replied, though she was definitely cold. Finn didn't touch her. He simply stepped closer, offering warmth without crossing a line. She felt it instantly. Better? He asked. Harper lifted her gaze. The way he was looking at her had no rush, no pressure, just pure attention. A sweet silence wrapped around them. Finn lowered his head slightly. Can I? He asked softly. Soft in a way no Aries had any right to be. Harper didn't answer with words. She took a small step toward him. Finn kissed her. His mouth was warm from the hot chocolate, and the kiss was slow, deep, filled with that mix of surprise and recognition that only happens when 2 people have been holding back for far too long. The lights twinkled above them. Harper felt her heart leap into her throat. She grasped the lapel of Finn's jacket while he held her waist with careful steadiness. The world collapsed into that one moment. When they finally pulled apart, both were breathing with a tremor that had nothing to do with the cold. Harper broke the tension with a murmur. That wasn't in my calendar. Finn brushed his forehead against hers. I can help you write the next pages. Harper didn't know which door of Advent she had just opened in her life, but one thing she did know, she wasn't closing it. The next morning arrived beneath a pearly gray sky, the kind that promised snow without specifying when. Harper felt as though she had slept and not slept at the same time. Every time she closed her eyes, she felt Finn's kiss all over again. Too warm, too clear, too dangerous. Heathcliff, sprawled across her chest like a blue brick, stared at her with pure feline judgment. "What?" Harper groaned. "I didn't do anything wrong." Heathcliff blinked, very slowly. Translation: Human, you kissed an irresistible Aries firefighter and didn't consult me first. Harper got up awkwardly, made herself coffee, and repeated internally that she was not thinking about Finn. Naturally, she thought about Finn with every sip. When she stepped outside to open her workshop, nerves tightened her stomach. She hadn't arranged to see him, but in a town like Maplebrook, encounters happen by emotional gravity. Sure enough, as soon as she turned the corner, she heard two neighbors chatting near the library's cookie stand. "I swear, I saw it myself," said Mrs. Jeffries, the local gossip specialist. "Finn Gallagher was with Amanda last night, and with Chloe the night before that, and last week with Nora. That boy has extra energy, if you know what I mean." Mrs. Dolan sighed dramatically. "Oh, the young ones. They come, break hearts, and then leave." Harper froze. Amanda, Chloe, Nora, younger, lighter, more replaceable. She tried to keep walking, but her steps turned small and stiff. A familiar old ache opened in her chest. No, 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 no. You are not repeating this story. You are not the woman who gets left for someone younger. Not again. She pivoted toward the square, almost on instinct, when Finn appeared from the opposite direction, brushing snow from his hair. "Harper, I was just coming to find you." She stopped, rigid. "Hi." Finn noticed immediately. "Is everything okay?" Harper swallowed. "I heard things." Finn frowned. "What things?" "That you've been—" She hated saying it, but the word escaped anyway. "Seeing several girls." Finn blinked, genuinely confused. "What? Seeing? Oh." Understanding fell over him like a bucket of snow. "No, no, no, that's not what they think it is." Harper crossed her arms, eyes locked on him. "Then what is it?" Finn ran a nervous hand through his hair. "I've been dropping things off, helping, fixing stuff around town, doing anonymous favors for my Advent project. You know, small good deeds. But people talk, and I guess they misunderstood." The ground wavered beneath Harper's boots. It wasn't anger, it was fear. That old, embedded fear that whispered, "He'll find someone better. You'll be left behind again." "I don't want to be a seasonal distraction," she said quietly. Finn's expression softened with something like hurt. "Harper, you're not that. You're not temporary. Not to me." She shook her head, stepping back. "It's just, I don't know if I can risk this again." Finn stepped toward her, hands open, but he didn't touch her. "Let me explain. Let me prove—" Harper stepped away. "I can't. Not right now." Finn stopped. Snow kept falling, slow and steady. His eyes carried the sincerity of someone who didn't know how to fix a wound he hadn't caused, but felt responsible for anyway. "I'm here," he whispered. "Whenever you want to talk." Harper turned and walked away. She didn't run, but it felt like running inside. When she reached home, Heathcliff was sitting right by the door, waiting, as if he already knew something had gone wrong. Harper knelt and stroked his soft blue head. "I can't, Heath," she murmured, throat tight. "I don't want to get broken again." The cat curled against her, silent. The house was warm, but Harper felt a cold that had nothing to do with winter. That was the problem with Advent doors. Sooner or later, one opened into a fear you weren't ready to face, and she had just opened one. Christmas Eve arrived wrapped in a white silence. The storm had left a soft layer of snow over all of Maplebrook, as if the entire town had been tucked under a freshly laundered blanket. Warm lights glowed from windows, gentle and steady, but Harper felt none of that warmth. She'd spent the whole day distracted, wandering around her workshop without actually working. She tried to focus, but her mind kept drifting back to the same questions she didn't want to face. What if I'm wrong again? Heathcliff watched from the cushioned chair beside her workbench. The cat had decided his human was not emotionally stable enough to be left alone, so he hadn't moved more than a meter away from her all afternoon. Every now and then, he meowed, as if reminding her she still had good things, safe things. When night settled in completely, Harper curled on the sofa with a blanket and a cup of tea. She deliberately avoided opening door 24 of her advent calendar. She didn't have the strength for well-intentioned reminders. A knock at the door made her jump. Heathcliff lifted his head immediately, ears tense, body alert. Harper frowned. No one visited her at this hour. She crossed the living room and opened the door. She froze. On her snowy porch stood 24 people. Neighbors, friends, acquaintances, some she barely remembered ever helping. Each one held a small numbered card from 1 to 24. Harper blinked several times, trying to understand. "What is this?" she whispered. Mrs. Langley, wearing a red hat and an enormous scarf, raised card number 7. "It's your calendar, dear." "The real one," added Mr. Holloway, holding number 15. It took Harper one more second. Then she saw him. Standing behind the group, beneath the street lamp casting a golden halo on the snow, was Finn. Dark jacket, snow-damp hair, card number 24 in hand. His expression carried no arrogance, no defenses, just raw sincerity. Mrs. Jeffries, yes, the very one who had spread rumors, lifted card number 3. "I didn't know the apple pie on my doorstep came from Finn," she said awkwardly. "I just thought someone had been kind." Mr. Dudley raised card 11. "He fixed my fence. I thought it was a Christmas miracle." Martha Collins, card 19, smiled. "He left hot coffee on the day I had a fever. I had no idea it was him." One by one, the neighbors spoke. One by one, Harper felt something inside her loosen, something that had been tightly locked for too long. Finally, Finn stepped forward. "Harper," his voice was a little rough from the cold, "this wasn't meant to be public. I just wanted to do one good thing a day, something that made up for things I couldn't change." Harper swallowed hard. Finn looked at her with a mixture of vulnerability and determination. "But when I heard what they were saying, I realized I needed to be clear, even if it scared me." He lifted card 24. "This is the last door, and it says—" He paused, breathing out. "The only woman I want to begin all my Decembers with." The silence was so deep Harper could hear her own heartbeat. Finn took another step. "I don't want you to be afraid of me. I don't want you to think you're competing with anyone. Harper, I choose you. With your lights, your silences, your way of fixing the world with your hands." Tears pricked her eyes, warm, a mix of fear and relief, tenderness and disbelief. "Finn, She tried to speak, but broke. He smiled, small, fragile. "You don't have to say anything today. I just wanted to be honest." Harper breathed deeply, once, twice. Then she stepped toward him. "I want to say something," she whispered. "I don't need you to save me, but I want to walk with you." Finn closed his eyes for a second, as if that sentence was what held him together. He closed the remaining distance and hugged her. Not fast, not hungry, but with the precision of someone who'd been holding back for too long. Snow fell around them, soft and silent. The neighbors began to applaud, timid at first, then warmer. Finn brushed his lips against her cheek. Harper lifted her face and kissed him. A slow kiss, deep, filled with the exact blend of safety and desire that happens when two people finally meet without fear. No rush, no doubts. Outside, the world was winter, but in their arms, they burned. The porch door closed softly behind them as they stepped inside. The night, long warm, waited for them. Christmas morning dawned with a thick, peaceful silence. The kind that only exists when snow has fallen through the night and the whole world seems to hold its breath. It took Harper a few seconds to realize where she was. This wasn't her bed. This wasn't her blanket. And it definitely wasn't her pillow. It was Finn's shoulder. She opened her eyes slowly. His room was bathed in a soft, golden light filtered through the curtains. The warmth of Finn's body surrounded her like a natural shelter. He slept on his back, one arm draped over her, breathing deeply, expression relaxed. It felt dangerously intimate. Well done, Harper. You survived Christmas Eve with an irresistible Aries, and surprisingly, did not die of anxiety. She propped herself up on one elbow to look at him. His beard was a little messy, hair mussed, expression calm, no pretense, nothing forced. A warm thread unraveled in Harper's chest. Finn opened his eyes without a jolt, as if he had known she was awake. "Good morning," he murmured, voice deep from sleep. Harper felt her heart leap embarrassingly hard. "Good morning?" He brushed her cheek with his thumb. "You okay?" She searched for a word that wasn't too sappy, too terrified, or too sincere. "Here." Finn smiled slowly. "That's perfect." They stayed like that for a moment, breathing in sync. Then Finn got up with that athletic ease Harper found borderline disrespectful and went to put water on to boil. Harper wrapped herself in the blanket and followed him to the kitchen. It was a cozy space, warm, with an old stove crackling softly. On the counter stood a tiny improvised Christmas tree decorated with miniature lights. Finn poured coffee into 2 mugs. "I didn't ask you something important last night," he said, leaning against the counter. "What did door 24 of your calendar say?" Harper let out a soft huff. "I didn't open it." "Why not?" She shrugged. "Because I didn't want it to tell me something I already knew." Finn raised a brow. "And what was that?" Harper inhaled. "That I can't keep hiding behind fear." Finn set down his mug and stepped closer. "Harper, you don't have to decide everything today. You don't have to know whether this," he gestured gently between them, "is forever. You just have to know whether you want to keep finding out." She held his gaze for a long moment, then nodded. "I want to, slowly, at my pace." Finn smiled, that warm, unbothered smile that knocked down walls without apologizing. "Slow is fine. I'm an Aries, but I can learn." Harper laughed under her breath, equal parts fond and incredulous. "I'd like to see that." He kissed her, soft this time. Not a fire starter, but a quiet assurance that the flame was still there. When they separated, Harper glanced at the clock. "I have to get home. Heathcliff will be furious." Finn snorted. "You think he'll survive a morning without you?" "Survive, yes. Forgive me. That's another matter." Finn let out a warm laugh. "Then I'll walk you. I don't want Mr. Heathcliff thinking I'm holding you hostage." Wise choice. They bundled up and stepped outside. The cold air greeted them with a crisp bite, and the snow crunched under their boots as they walked toward Harper's house. Everything was still. Everything was white. Harper opened her door slowly. Heathcliff sat in the center of the living room, back perfectly straight, tail neatly curled, wearing the expression of, "And where exactly do you think you've been?" Harper sighed. "Told you," she murmured to Finn. Heathcliff approached, sniffed the edge of her coat, then looked up at her with wide, assessing eyes. "I'm fine," Harper said softly, kneeling to pet him. "I wasn't lost. I just spent the night out." Heathcliff meowed with a tone that clearly meant, "This will not become a habit." Finn crouched at a respectful distance. "Good morning, sir." Heathcliff looked at him. He did not hiss, which was a small miracle. He simply turned around and walked to his empty food bowl. "I think you passed the basic level," Harper said. "Is that good?" "It's excellent." Heathcliff meowed indignantly, as if reminding them breakfast was overdue. Finn gave Harper a soft, steady smile. Want me to stay for a bit? Harper looked at him. Really looked, and felt her chest open just a little more. Yes, stay. Finn hung his coat, stepped closer, and together they began preparing breakfast under the golden morning light. Heathcliff settled into his cushion, satisfied that order had been restored. And Harper, breathing in the smell of fresh coffee filling her kitchen, thought, "Okay, Harper, this Aries has thrown your world off balance, but what a beautiful way to begin a new year." And if you enjoyed this story, subscribe and go watch another one.